Why do you love crypto?
There's no other way to describe it. It is the most cutting edge part of marketing. There's more freedom than any other industry.
And that makes work not feel so much like work. It makes it feel like just another great part of your life that helps like shape who you are, why you're doing what you're doing.
You can take what you've already done that was innovative, throw it away and build something new.
You want to give someone something versus taking something away. Projects underestimate the power of community. Numbers are fake. The only thing that's real is culture and vibes.
Leadership is not a means to an end. It's just a calling on the way to shaping the reality of everyone else. What are you cost signaling? How have you done the hard things to show that you've done the hard things? If you have a cool identity as a brand or anything, and you stick to what your guns are, then eventually it's going to work.
Economics.
Dude, thanks for doing this, man.
No, thank you
This
for
is
having me. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. This is first step of TukTuk TV, Jin and Charlie, 27th January 2025. Yeah, we've just been talking about gaming, man. Tell me about your gaming history. What are you into?
So when did I got into game? I've always been into it, really.
Yeah.
I grew up in a household that was into it. My stepdad was into Warhammer, the game, always. So we always played it.
Like physical Warhammer?
Yeah, like the tabletop game.
Sick.
So he was into that, and then we got PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, went through it from there. Then I really got into it around Modern Warfare 2 Call of Duty. I was maybe 11 at the time. That was the old school days of Xbox 360 lobbies.
Yeah.
And then from that, straight into MMORPGs, World of Warcraft during Lich King, RuneScape, old school RuneScape. Obviously, with the profile picture, I still rep that. And then as WoW, in my opinion, started to die before Mists of Pandaria because they didn't release a raid for ages, then dabbling off into other games as well. But mainly played WoW for 10 years.
Wow, 10. That's a shift, mate.
I still have it. I still play it now.
Yeah. What class were you?
I was a Red Paladin.
Red Paladin.
Always Red.
Strong.
Mainly in arenas or PvP as well.
Nice.
I stopped raiding after Cataclysm because it was just too easy. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
They got rid of they killed all the hardcore players. So we had to get rid of it.
They got nerfed, didn't they? Yeah.
They just didn't. They just wanted to pander to a more normie audience. And I didn't like that. Because I was playing it for when you're 15, all of your spare hours go into it.
Yeah, 100%.
So I could play a lot more than a 40-year-old dude could. So,
Exactly. I guess now is an appropriate time to introduce you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Charlie. Who are you and what do you do?
Oh, thank you for having me. So, yeah, my name's Charlie. I'm the head of marketing at Nillion. I was part of the founding team, joined at the end of 2021. But I've been in crypto since 2017, dabbling to start off with, went full-time 2018, was in an agency before going into Nillion, still on the marketing community side, but also focusing on things like PR and those kind of relationships. So not purely what I do now, but, trading, went through DeFi summer, went through NFT craze, learned how they did everything. Really, really interesting, especially seeing some of the projects now coming back in and what I would see as like a small NFT resurgence that we're seeing right now, which I'm all for. But yeah, all been through it there. And yeah, last 3 years, over 3 years now, been at Nillion, just kind of leading everything on the community and marketing side.
Nice, man. We'll get into it. I don't even know where to look. Hello, I'm Jin. I'm head of marketing at Nuffle. I've got a slightly different story. I was a intensive care anaesthetist for a long time and then got into crypto, but we can go through that in a bit. But yeah, what were we talking about when we had lunch? I think the biggest thing was the reason we're doing this, I think, is because what I think is that everything's so hyper optimized towards either telling you the latest technology or like what's the latest bag we should buy. And you don't really hear a lot about the stories behind campaigns or like the people behind campaigns. And like, there's nothing on Spotify right now that I'd want to listen to and chill with. I wanted something that replicates the feeling of being with a couple of mates talking about crypto.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of this, I think. And also Techonomics, the name is around like, what's the economics or like the science behind it. Yeah, man, I think a good place to start is like, what was your first taste of crypto? When did you like first even hear of it?
My first taste of crypto was 2017. It was through a McKinsey report that I was reading through at the time for my work. And it was just discussing how, it wasn't even like the degen side of crypto. It was like how crypto economics can affect supply chain industry. So it was relatively boring. But I was in buying at the time.
Yeah.
So a lot of my work was focused on logistics and supply chains and those kind of things. So I started reading about it, and then I was asking friends about it. One of my friends invested in it in 2016 as it was going through the American election cycle. He kind of rode that wave into 2017, sold his bag. That was great. But then I started to get into it, just lightly trading what would be now like main tokens. So like Ethereum, those kind of things. And then ICO season kicked off. You could see the mania that started to happen there. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed that space then. But then that obviously crashed off. Big time. You saw a lot of people leave. And the reason I kind of stuck around and actually decided, because it's very weird to see a market crash and then decide you want to go into it. It was because the marketing space at that point was interesting, but it was clearly on the very, very fringe of what was happening of marketing. There was a lot of creativity. A lot of marketers didn't know how to react to the market doing poorly. People didn't know what they were doing. You could see a lot of people A/B testing on their audience as it was going through. You didn't get to see that a lot of like trad industry. So I was in fashion and those kind of things. There's not a lot of A/B testing with the consumer base because you rely on them so massively. Whereas at crypto at that point in time, people are still finding their footing. We've come a long way since then. But, you know, people were just learning how to grow communities. Discord was just becoming the big thing. All these different things were starting to emerge. And I thought it was really interesting how people were like moving their community base around because it's decentralized and because no one really has a massive social graph. Seeing how people were communicating and and, you know, projects were dying, projects were growing. It was very interesting. And I decided this is where I want to be if I want to be in marketing. And in, you know, I didn't even know about community building at that point. This is where I want to be if I want to do marketing, because there's so much experimentation and creativity that you just won't get to have in like a normal kind of 360 marketing funnel. So that's
when did you make the jump? Because you said you were in fashion before, right?
I made jump in 2018 and I really dipped my toe in. I started off by I set myself a goal. I had to write, well, it was Medium at the time. I had to write a Medium blog, one a day for 30 days, and they had to be at least 1,000 words long. So I was at like, you know, 30,000 words by the end of the month. And it was like a big educational thing for me to go through. And I discussed like, you know, this is when like elliptic curve was big. ZK was just starting to emerge. We were discussing like, I was writing about like specific use cases, like even prediction markets back then. I was writing about like supply chains and how it would affect like ethical market trading and all these different things. And it wasn't massively a degen kind of exploration for myself. It was more just like, how can I create and educate myself at the same time? And once I saw that I could do it and I would still be interested after writing 30,000 words on something, which is like, you know, a large dissertation, small thesis kind of thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to start to take a leap. And that's how I just went, you know, straight into an agency space. And then got through in at the deep end there because it was a small agency. And we were working on, you know, bits and bobs for a while. It was mainly projects still trying to grow. They didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So we were kind of figuring it out. But then when DeFi Summer hit, that's when it got like that moment clicks and you kind of know where you exist in the space. And I knew my space was mainly behind the camera. I didn't like being massively in front of the camera. But always in that top of funnel and grassroots approach. I like to grow communities horizontally, which is what Nillion does now. So that's what I did for a couple of years. And then I went through the NFT craze as well. And I was helping a lot of the NFT projects there. Some are doing well now, some died, but it's kind of the space.
That's the name of the game, isn't it? Yeah. I think there's a lot of lessons there, really, because like a lot of people DM me now saying, how do I get started in marketing? How do I get started with like a project? And like a lot of them are like, oh, I need to get myself out there on X or whatever. Yeah. But it seems like you took a different angle. You were like, I'm going to write something interesting for myself. And then I imagine that your first job or even your second job, people would, or even when you started the company, was like, they would look at that as a CV almost and show your understanding of stuff.
Yeah, it was, you know, I didn't even think I used it as part of a resume. It was just more like an educational exploration for me. You know, they were getting like 100 views. Like no one's reading it. It was more like, can I, you know, I don't want to just leave what I'm doing now and jump into it and then find out I don't like it. So it's a big leap moving into such a, you know, even more at that time, like a speculative market. So I had to really make sure that I wanted to do it. Yeah. So I don't even really use it. I just wanted to have it for myself, and that was really useful for me. At that time, agencies weren't asking for a lot of references, if I'm honest. In crypto.
Can you turn up on time? Can you read? Can you write?
Yeah. Are you 10 million online? Yes. Okay, cool. We'll hire you.
Yeah.
You don't get paid a lot, so you just dealt with it.
I mean, that's a good topic as well. Is like the big hiring like challenges nowadays, right? It's so hard to find people to bring onto a team because anyone can say anything online. Yeah. AI is rampant, so written word is almost unbelievably hard to judge.
Yeah.
How would you judge someone joining a team or like applying for a team?
Yeah. So my team now, because I do hire over at Nillion. So my team now, one, it's very, very small. But I have to know them for a while beforehand. I have to know their character. I have to know how do they approach their work, how do they approach community work, how those kind of things happen. And I focus less on their experience in the space, and I focus more on what is their work ethic and how do they approach doing something. Everything else can be kind of taught because nobody in this space really knows what they're doing. Everybody's still kind of figuring it out. Yeah. Everybody's looking at everyone else. Everyone's trying to figure out what their playbook should be compared to that other project's playbook or these different things. Whereas you can find someone that's worked really hard and is genuine and wants to build in the right direction that you want to build in because they have to align, then I will bring them on. And that's what I had recently when I hired Nate, who now leads the community over at Nillion. And that was a big step for me to let go of that community. And I'm still obviously a part of it and in it every day, but he leads everything now. But I knew him for a long time before then. And I also asked around about him in my network of people that I knew him to be like, is he a good guy? I watched his work for a while. Like I'd have his notifications on the project he worked at. I'd have his notifications on. I'd be looking at like not just how he posts, but also how he replies. And I'd be looking at everything that kind of happens through it for 2 or 3 months. And then we started to go through the interview process. Then we started that process. So I don't care if you've worked at Consensus or if you've worked at a huge L1, like you could still be bad. I want to know, what is your approach? How much do you care? You know, all these different things. And he was one of my favorite hires ever.
Yeah.
And I've got other people as well, and they've all gone through the exact same process.
Yeah. It sounds like you put a lot in because a lot of teams expect someone comes to you and just be able to tell just like that. But it sounds like you put in a lot of work up front, making sure.
Yeah. And our head of people and talent called Rasheen, she's fantastic as well. So, you know, we'll get some roles, 1,000 applicants. We get a lot of applicants, and obviously you have to whittle that all the way down to like a handful of interviews. But we've even recently been changing that approach slightly and been looking for people that are already kind of in our orbit. Like Nate was already relatively in my orbit. And it's about, one, doing my flow of things, but also Rasheen, who's incredible on our team, doing her side of things, doing the people and talent, making sure there would be an internal culture fit because there's so much internal storytelling that needs to happen from the marketing team as well. Yeah. You need to get the rest of the team on board with the mission and the approach of how we do things. And she's amazing at like judging people for that. So she's, I can only take a small amount of the credit for the hiring. She is the leading everything.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
It's so hard.
I think that to sum it up, then, like, because it's interesting because when I was a doctor before this career, hiring was relatively straightforward. Like you'd apply for something, you've got your qualifications. Kind of like there's very little leeway, like difference. Like maybe you can have slightly more research publications or something, but there's none of that in crypto.
No.
And everything changes so quickly. If you wrote something a year ago, like maybe it's out of date. And what I found was before I joined Nuffle, I was running Grogami, the agency, and like when we were hiring, you'd know if someone was a star within like the first 2 weeks, or even like the first 3 days, or even during the interview process, because they just graft, they do things or do interesting things. And like my hiring criteria is always like graft, verbal fluency. If someone can talk and express ideas clearly, then they can probably write well as well.
Yeah.
Whereas anyone can AI shit on like writing stuff it's these days. Easy. And it's all also like, if you're gonna do it right. Like don't just do like the basic ChatGPT shit. Like it's common enough now that you can like work how to do it well. If you're gonna do it well.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just like being informed about what's going on. Like anyone who works in crypto should be able to have a conversation about what's hot on X right now, what's hot in another part of the world, and what projects are doing what. Even if you're not working in it, like if you're buying stuff, you should be knowing what it is, because otherwise you've got like, you got people that, I mean, no offense, but as in like crypto people in general, they always like look down on people that don't stay informed, which is not the case, because everyone like completely got blindsided by XRP pumping, right?
Oh yeah.
And every project is like mindshare was like, oh wait, oh right, there's an entire bunch of people that's being ignored by everyone.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is interesting for campaigns, like, because you got to look at different sectors. I think when we spoke with Emily and Rekka, you talked about your process about like looking west, looking east,
Yeah, looking at the different markets,
all the different angles. Because like everyone right now, especially with Kaito, right, everyone's talking about like, oh, yapping mindshare, this, that. But like,
yeah, there's 2 data points to work off.
like what percentage of the market is it? Don't get me wrong, genius project, genius way that they've launched, and like they've created an incentive for essentially like, I think there's only 3 things that sell in the world: dopamine, mirrors, and sex. Or maybe cash, maybe 4, right? And I think Kaito offers dopamine and mirrors.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't think sex, but now cash as well, right? Like because people are getting the yap points.
Yeah, they've monetized the social layer. They've done a really good job.
It's genius. I think that Nillion's at a point from an outside perspective where you've already got an identity, you've got people, you've got community, you've got very strong socials. But like, what about all these projects coming up now that are looking like, should I be prioritizing this tool, that tool? Like, how do you decide whether to use this kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, like you said, it's very kind of project specific. We discussed before, like Nillion fundamentally is an underdog story. We always have been. Our core founders essentially understood that the next kind of wave was going to be in compute. They were going to be in private compute, and there was this kind of gap between where the industry is to where it can be. The best example of like what that is that's happened historically is like when Chainlink brought off-chain data feeds on chain. That kind of like shift in the industry is kind of what they've seen for Nillion. But that is an underdog story because there's no comparison. And the only comparisons that we did have were privacy projects from the previous cycle that all focused on transactions, which is great. That's its own industry. That's its own bubble of collection of companies, and that's fantastic. But Nillion wasn't them, but it also wasn't a chain. So it was its own thing. So the way we had to approach building the project was a lot of A/B testing specific, ways of building the community. We did go through sprints where we did a lot of technical papers to see, okay, how does the technical audience resonate with this? We did a lot of sprints where we did a lot of very kind of left curve retail approach to things. How did that resonate? And it was that kind of A/B testing over multiple years that we've now found where we best fit. And I think where we best fit is this kind of world building storytelling. It's in everything we do. It's in our imagery. There's the singular character that's in the world that exists. That is part of it. There's the 60 to 90 second videos that we do that kind of explain why we're doing what we're doing. It's never hype content. It's always like, here are the decisions that we've made. Here's why we've made them, so that the community feels in contact with us. So in terms of like the tooling we use, I'm very, very simplistic on my tooling. I use Kaito. Obviously, I think I started using them in September last year, very early on, like maybe the second month they launched. I use Typefully for statistics on socials. I use Twitter native socials and Together Crew for community. That's it. I don't use anything else. And the only key statistic I'm really trying to track, I don't track followers a lot. I don't massively track impressions, except for like overarching quarterly goals. What I'm tracking is community sentiment, because that's all that matters. How is our community sentiment? Is it positive? And is the sentiment growing? Because if the sentiment's growing, you can normally assume that the community base is growing as well. So as long as that is constantly moving up, that is all I focus on. And that's all I've indexed on since the last 6 months. That big shift over to just focusing on that has dramatically improved our overall brand awareness and brand presence, but also the engagement that we're seeing, not just on the corporate account, but on all of the team accounts as well, which then obviously kicks that flywheel of the team being more online. So that's kind of the approach we do. It's very different for other projects. But Nillion being that kind of underdog story in a way gave us the freedom to try a lot of things that other projects couldn't do. And now because of that, we're seeing a lot of projects trying to emulate what we do. And I really love that.
Yeah. As soon as you see success, someone else doing it, I mean, I'm sure like every marketer knows they get like a DM at maybe 2 a.m. from a founder being like, have you seen this? Have you seen them, what they're doing? We should do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is not what happens at Nuffle, by the way. My founders treat me very well.
I've had it. I've had it in the past where they've been like, we should do this. And you'd be like, no, but we'd be chasing the tail of other people.
Exactly.
We need to have strong brand alignment, and we need to, instead of trying to emulate what they're doing 2 weeks behind, we need to be thinking about what we can do to play to our strengths. And I think that was a big shift that every project has to do. They have to stop looking at what other projects not in their vertical are doing. Like, I should not be running the L1 playbook for marketing because I'm not an L1. I should not be running the Poly Market playbook because we're not that kind of product. You have to think of it yourself, and there's that shift that founders need to have as well. And our founders have had it, and they had it a long time ago, which is great. That we can't be chasing the tail of other people. We need to be trying to be creative and unique on our own, and that means we are going to fail at some things. But it means if we do hit, it hits big, and that's
exactly.
a big
It's conviction, right? And it's I think of it like attention liquidity. You got financial liquidity, and a lot of people, bad traders, they chase the hot ball of money, and they invariably lose money because they're always late to a party. Whereas conviction traders, they make a few good bets, and then they either win really big or not much happens, or they lose a little bit, but they're not chasing time-based stuff. And I think the same thing happens with attention. Because if you have a core identity as a brand or anything, and you stick to what your guns are, then eventually it's going to work. And even if it doesn't, like, you got to be intellectually honest as well. If something's not working, change, but not because of someone else is doing it. I mean, the AI thing is a huge example of this, right? Like overnight, when AI 16Z became big, a lot of people changed their entire identity to reflect it, which is very short-term thinking. There's nothing wrong with like doing stuff that's interesting, but it's like, how do you maintain authenticity? I think that in marketing and crypto especially, it's gone from like a techno cult, which was initially like essentially graphics cards with people attached, to a lifestyle brand, which is what Nillion's doing, which is like, it's a movement, we got a mission, we got something to do, we've got something we believe in. And then also there's this technology attached, but like the focus is on the why rather than the what. Because I think a lot of people are playing the TPS game, which like, who cares? Like it's 2025. No one cares about TPS right now.
Yeah, that's the approach. So last cycle, it was very important to play that kind of statistics game because it was very much more of a nerd snipe culture. So I'm better at this and this. And Solana benefited massively from this, where Ethereum, but cheaper and faster. Super easy messaging. Monad does it now. If you love Ethereum, if you love Solana, you'll love Monad. Again, very, very powerful.
Do you see the beef about that?
No.
There was some beef with like Eclipse and Monad and like the Venn diagrams being used and like.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. So I was like,
bro, you can't patent a shape.
It's just like, there's some ridiculous beef.
It's funny, but it gets attention, right? Like,
it does get attention.
I know about it. We're talking about it.
Yeah, it's true. There was some. Monad's done beef very, very well in the past. They did with the story announcements as well.
Yeah, I think they both won from that, like net positive.
Definitely net positive. Yeah, we just never really took that approach. That was never really our thing. We are deep tech company, very complex tech. You know, privacy enhancing technologies is there's such a high barrier to entry for it that it's not worth. We want to focus on the consumer side of things. And again, there needs to be this kind of common enemy, common person that we're going after. And it needs to be that Nillion's making privacy so easy and privacy available for everybody that it's the developers that need to care. And we need to make sure that the developers actually implement it. And if they don't implement it, the community should know why. Why have you not chosen to do this when it's this easy? That's why Nillion's been doing like no codes and these kind of things and putting out these demos and these videos that shows like this is easy to do. If the developers aren't implementing it, or if these new protocols or projects or companies in Web2 aren't implementing it, they're making an active choice to not protect your data because it's not as difficult as it once was. It's like now you wouldn't buy something on a website that wasn't HTTPS because you want to feel secure. You want that S at the end, whatever it's HTTP, and you know it's not a secure website. Like you feel uneasy. But I don't know how that fucking works on the back end. I don't know what the S does really. I just know that it makes me feel better because I know I'm more secure and I'm more protected. And that's what Nillion needs to be. It needs to be at the back end. You shouldn't need to know what it is. The consumer should just know that they are being protected. and their data is being protected. And they do have privacy in this new era of AI that we're seeing, where all your data is being eaten up. We need to know that we are protecting our core base. And that's the mission that we've been able to rally people behind. And now so much so that they're going to other projects and being like, why aren't you implementing this? Why aren't you doing these things? And that's why we're seeing like such a organic, natural explosion on our ecosystem side, as well as our marketing. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see.
That's a really good point, because I think it's interesting how privacy has changed over the years in the crypto space, especially. Like, I remember back in the day, Verge was pumping and like they did a Pornhub integration.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, oh my God, this is going to be the next big thing. And then we saw like a gradual explosion of privacy companies.
Yeah.
And like, real talk, they've not really had a huge amount of impact, right? And I think maybe there's a different approach here, which you're doing, which is you're not trying to convince people they have to do it. Because realistically, 99% of people, public Facebooks, public Instagrams, use Google daily.
Accept cookies, website.
Accept every cookie everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just like their computers are probably like riddled with everything, right? And how do you convince the average person that I should care? Because Apple's trying a little bit. I think they're going like versus Google. They're saying that.
Yeah, they
iOS
use similar encryption sets, but crypto is the only industry where projects expect the consumers to do the work.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was building a product in Web 2 and I was building something on like the hook model, for example, the traditional kind of product model, the whole point of the model is like we need to remove the amount of steps for the user to make the user experience as easy as possible, to make the product as sticky as possible. Whereas crypto has always been, okay, if you want to have privacy, you've got to do 15 steps, you've got to have a terminal open, you've got to know how to do all these things. And it makes it so fucking difficult that no one wants to do it. So Nillion wants to make it so easy for developers to implement, because our core base, like the target base is like the developers. It needs to be so easy for developers to build with privacy that it becomes a no-brainer decision to implement it when you're building something.
Yeah.
And if they don't implement it for some whatever reason, the community should be able to ask why. Why should we use you? Why should we use your product if you're not protecting our data or our privacy? Because it is this easy to do now. So it flips it. And, you know, I do think private transactions might have another resurgence, especially since the Tornado Cash kind of thing came down, which is great.
Yeah.
But again, we are not that privacy. I class that as old guard privacy crypto. We are new guard privacy crypto, and we are private computation storage. And I think that is a very important distinction to have. And I think that's why Nillion is seeing some success and our community is growing, is because we are clearly defined in what we do and who we are. And we will continue to grow. We will continue to eat into other markets as much as we can.
Because it's like a general shift in the market, right? It's like people care about real shit now, because they're not just like, here's some word salad, please buy my token. It's, oh, what does it do? Because I feel like the market's shifting towards pools of essentially supply and demand. Whether you're trading meme coins or whether you're in DeFi, there's certain pools of just demand that are appearing, like Morpho, Aave, or meme coins. The clear winner is Solana, obviously. And I think that an interesting change that should happen for most chains, I think, is they should keep their tokens where they are, but then allow the liquidity to be traded on Solana, because that's where the volume is. So then if the market cap goes up, it's great for them. But if there's no volume, then there's no point. And I think at some point, everyone's got to concede that that's just where meme coins are now. And you just got to just do it. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And I think that with the privacy side of Nillion as well, it looks like you're looking at, I mean, real world applications is almost like a dirty word, like in crypto, right? Because like when someone says real world impact, the double speak is basically no one gives a shit about is in crypto. So therefore we're focusing on like real world use cases.
Yeah, we're working on breaking that stigma. Again, because Nillion was an underdog, not just in crypto as a narrative, but also relatively looked down upon in our privacy sector for many years.
Oh yeah, tell us more about that, because that's quite funny.
Yeah, so Nillion was very commercial from the beginning. We have our chief scientist, Dr. Miguel de Vega, and he is deeply technical. He's got like 30 patents. What he's done in the past, like the patents he have govern the way internet moves across the seabed. Like he's incredibly technical guy.
Yeah.
Deep cryptographer.
OG.
But the rest of them are commercial.
Yeah.
One of our founders, Andrew Masanto, was the founding CMO of a Hedera Hashgraph. big crypto OGs. Like they know the space very well. And because that was the predominant side of our founding team, we have a very commercial approach. We always have had a commercial approach. We always wanted to be community first. We, before we even like began growing out, we had a community base. It was always a day one approach for us. A lot of the other privacy projects in the space didn't like that because there was a high purity test. There's a lot of academic speak and these kind of things. And we went, we never massively fit into that crowd.
Yeah.
We had the same goal as them. The overarching goal for privacy was aligned. The approach was different. And
so it pissed people off then?
It did piss people off, and that's fine. We had people try and stop us hiring people. We had people, talk shit about us at side events and these kind of things.
It's wild.
And, it got under the skin of some people on our team. I never massively cared because I always knew we are doing something new. We are doing something novel, and we are building a community base from the very, very beginning. And if we continue to do what we're doing for years, which we have been at this point now, we are going to win. And we're starting to see that happen now. Nillion is winning. We are breaking that stigma around privacy. Privacy can be interesting. Privacy can be cool. Privacy can have real adoption within crypto. But because of that kind of foundation of pushing against what was already happening from the very beginning, forging our own path, building our own playbooks, doing those kind of things, we have always fought against the kind of stigmatism of even the real world use cases, for example, like you said.
Yeah.
Like we have a project that we actually talked about on our socials recently called SawChain, and they are a deeper network with cars, but they have essentially boxes in cars that track city traffic.
Oh,
and
cool.
They have 3,000 cars, and that network that data is stored on Nillion. So there's 3,000 cars worth of data being stored on Nillion and used to track all these different points. Super cool, super at Web 2 company. But then we also have AI16Z integrating with Nillion, and the Thales AI integrating with Nillion. And then we have IONET, Nia, Arbitrum, all these different projects. And we've got a couple other ones that are massive that I haven't announced yet. But we've just gone for the full approach. We've gone for everybody because we've not felt like we're in the box that other projects feel like.
Yeah.
We want to try new and interesting things, and we will continue to push that out in not just our marketing, but also in ecosystem, partnerships, growth, BD, tech, cryptography. We did a research paper that was with someone from the Meta team on AI. We're just doing different things because we want to push everybody forward. And those other privacy projects, they may have talked bad about us in the past. They're a lot friendlier to us these days. But if they want to join us on this mission now, they can. That's
funny, man. Everyone forgets that you just got to do real shit, to actually make progress, because you can do the same playbook that everyone else does. We saw what the roll-up playbook was in 2023. We saw
Good
what
playbook.
a great playbook, good for raising money. But once you niche down too hard, and I think what we're seeing with ETH and Solana as well, obviously it's the ivory towers are being torn down because everyone could ignore oh yeah, it's just meme coins, who cares, whatever. And obviously Mert's always going to bat on the timeline saying no, there's deep in, there's this, there's that, and
rage baiting the fuck out of people all the time.
Which is
great.
So effective.
It's so funny.
But we've seen the biggest shift in Ethereum's attitude in in its entire lifetime, right? Because the Puritans and the ivory towers have basically just been objectively shown that something needs to happen. I mean, maybe even the idea that something needs to change is maybe wrong. I don't know, but it's a huge signal. Price action is something that's universally visible.
Yeah.
You can talk about ideas all day, but if you've got liquid tokens and one is underperforming, there's a reason why.
Yep.
And maybe something needs to change. What do you think about all the ETH Solana stuff and Vitalik going Milady and?
Well, my members of my team love that he went Milady.
Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, the way you describe this perfect is the way these kind of huge ivory towers, the EF is a huge pillar of the crypto community.
Yeah. They've done good work too, obviously.
Amazing work.
Yeah.
Amazing work. They funded so many projects. We obviously look at PSE, which is the privacy scaling one. But they've done amazing work, especially with all the conferences. They are a bedrock of this industry. So to see them shifting is very interesting because the way you can look at it now is because crypto is maturing more.
Exactly.
And these bigger, it is starting to take on more somewhat Web 2 operations.
Yeah.
There's clear funding tracks, there's clear tech tracks, there's clear partnership tracks. Like you can start to see the general playbooks that people are following. Crypto almost, even though crypto is very much still a fringe industry in the sense that like a lot of your friends don't know what it is, your parents certainly don't know what it is, and all these different things. There is the ivory tower, and then there's also the counterculture that exists within our own industry. And it's very unusual for a fringe industry to have ivory and counterculture.
Yeah.
And meme coins, miladies, these kind of things are counterculture to the ivory towers in our industry, but also counterculture to the rest of Web 2 and the culture that exists there, like centralizing bodies and governments and these kind of things. Kind of what crypto originally was in the cypherpunk movement and those kind of things. So I think it's incredibly interesting to see that we are having a forming counterculture, and the ball of money has majoritively moved into that counterculture now.
Yeah.
With like meme coins, with NFT resurgence, with like prediction markets and betting taking over. It has taken this kind of a lot more degenerate counterculture approach. And I think that's incredibly interesting. I think a good example of this from the past is like the original rock movement and then punk rock. Miladies is very punk rock, and Ivory Tower is very, you know, glam rock, these kind of things.
Because it was the original cypherpunk, wasn't it? Like it was, you know, like a lot of, I mean, I sound like an old dude. I mean, I am an old dude compared to the young generation, right? But like everyone's talking, no one even like, a lot of people I've spoken to don't know who Hal Finney is.
Yes.
And they won't give a shit about the idea of, they just want like fast, cheap, make some money. And that'll go up to a point. And eventually something's going to happen and people are going to be like, oh, I don't want all my data being everywhere. I don't want someone to be able to stop me transacting, because it's going to happen to someone at some point.
Yes.
It's just how close it is to you. And it depends what kind of person you are. If you think about it, like when I tell my wife or like my mum and dad that I don't want anyone to be able to stop my transactions, they're like, well, what are you doing? Why are you, I'm not doing anything wrong, but like, I don't like the idea of it. Whereas like a lot of people, they don't care.
Nope.
And it's very difficult. And like you said, it's about making it unreasonable to have the other way.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what Ethereum does. I mean, like Vitalik's almost like a boy emperor in his like archetype, right? Like he's always been above it. He's always been.
He was 19 when he started.
Yeah, wild. It's like child movie stars, right?
Like a Zuckerberg.
Yeah, exactly. And I see him. I mean, the Zuckerberg rebrand of Vitalik would be interesting to see.
I'd love that.
A little bit of TRT. Get on the roids.
Thicker neck.
Yeah. Gold chain, start some jujitsu.
Yeah.
Him and Zuckerberg just like battling out. Yeah.
I'd like that as well.
Or maybe him and Bezos, I reckon. Bezos would get him jacked, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just TRT is the solution.
Yeah. I mean, there was a, Levels, Pieter, he's like a Dutch, he's like a very famous app developer.
Okay.
He made an index that looked at CEOs and their deadlift. And then they found like a significant statistical correlation between CEOs that could deadlift a lot also had a higher market cap. Oh, wow. But obviously I think it just means like tech companies, usually younger, but interesting.
That's so funny.
I mean, it's jokes. I think we need more indexes. We need more funny indexes, I think. We need more fun in crypto. Because at the minute, it's like a lot of like, oh, what's your this, that, whatever, layer 5. Like, no one cares.
Yeah, no one understands. It's so difficult to follow everything. All the layers. There's layer 3 now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. We work in the industry. Like, what's someone gonna, like, there's a reason why people buy XRP, why no one gives a shit about everything else. It's because, like, they see it on a centralized exchange. It makes sense to them, and they just buy it.
Well, it's just not designed for the consumer.
Yeah.
We're still in the infrastructure stage of the industry.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
if you look at the internet, there was an infrastructure stage when it was still nerds and hobbyists. But we also have like the nerds, hobbyists, and then like crazy degenerate gamblers. And it's very rare that they exist at the same time.
Yeah, symbiotic.
But they do in our industry. But we are starting to see that shift towards consumer. I think Abstract is going to do an amazing job at this. I'm super excited for what they have.
Yeah.
Especially, I watched a podcast with Luca recently with Meow from Jupiter, and he was discussing like he wants to copy the operational excellence that Base has, which they do have fundamentally, but make it incredibly consumer facing. And I think if anyone can do it, it's going to be him. I think he's going to do a really good job, especially with their mainnet launching today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how that kind of goes, how that rolls out.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very easy to be, not easy, but like, people are used to people being diplomatic on podcasts, right? I'm going to do like a this or that, and you've got to answer first thing, right? And then we say why. Abstract or Berachain?
Abstract.
Why?
I think they're much more focused on building the applications for the users. And I think Lucre is going to be able to leverage the Pudgy community a lot more effectively. Bear obviously started with an NFT collection as well. But I think of the meme of Q5 can scare off the consumer base. So I think Abstract, because they have gone from announcement to shipping mainnet very, very quickly. And I think if they continue on that, they're going to win in the long term.
Okay. Move or Sui?
Move, but only because I am good friends with Will and I believe fully in betting on the jockey, not the horse.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think whatever he touches is going to be magic. And what he has done with movements in the last 18 months has been magic. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the move language at the technical level to be able to say why. I just can see what he's doing in terms of marketing and what Sway is doing in terms of marketing and building. And I think he is going to win long term if they continue on their current path.
Interesting. What do you think they do differently? That's really good.
I think Movements is very good at building at the community base. I've seen their community builder for a long time in the space. And I think Will is very, very good at effectively communicating to them. He's probably got the biggest visions for what he wants to do in crypto. You know, he wants to change the world, which is great. And I love that. But he also takes a lot of bets on the brand and does a lot of brand risk stuff. And I love that for him because it rewards the community base. He does a lot of things that don't scale at the community level. Like we all see the Parthenon, we all see those big campaigns, but there's a lot of smaller things happening for the community that a lot of people don't see. And that's building such a strong base. And I don't see any of that happening with Sui.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's not visible at all, is it? There might be stuff going on, but we're not seeing it. I mean, maybe we're a very small subsection of the total space, but yeah, I agree with that. I think that when we were interviewing Will the other day, he was saying that it was like a 10-month preparation from like idea to Parthenon.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of teams are now saying like, oh, we need to launch something for like, you know, Q2's a meme or whatever. Like people aren't preparing as much. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
He'll be cooking something up now that's going to launch in 2026.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
yeah.
And when you've got someone that's not only can think that far ahead, but also execute on it at the level he did, it's hard not to bet on that person. And I always do think you bet on the jockey, not the horse. Plus, he's been a friend for years. So
yeah, that helps. That helps. First meme coin you ever bought? Doge.
Easy one.
Nice.
Easy one.
Still hold?
No.
No,
not anymore. I don't hold any meme coins.
Yeah.
I try and keep out of it. My work is stressful enough.
Oh, mate, I feel you. Yeah.
I don't hold any. I watch the markets. I'm in a lot of meme coin group chats because I feel like I need to be on the pulse of what's happening in them.
Yeah.
But I don't personally trade any of them because I knew it would just distract me from my actual work.
Oh, 100%. It's a 24/7 job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the market's changing as well. It's not like PVE where it was you buy a thing, it just goes up with the market goes up. Like everything's decorrelated now. It's kind of becoming like almost like the traditional stock market where not everything wins. There's a few clear winners like Nvidia, Solana, and then everything else, it's like stock picking. Meme coins are stock picking because you need an edge. You need to be fast. And the hot ball of money, the liquidity is just like going so quick now.
Yeah. They're like pink sheets.
Yeah.
Like small market caps normally. Most of them got small market caps. You see a couple breakouts like Farcoin and shit like that. But on most of them are pink sheets. They're trading small amounts of liquidity across a lot of different places. You know, and when I say small amounts of liquidity, I mean like 10 million liquidity. You know, large in trad, small in meme coins.
Exactly.
So people are just it is 24 hours a day. You can't afford to even sleep or you might miss $100 million
Yeah,
shift.
when Trump came through, like it was I mean that's just
that was over a weekend.
Mate, I remember in 2017, like people like discussing Bitcoin in fucking forums and shit.
Yep.
And like not even on X and then or Twitter back then. And now the president's launched a meme coin. Like I feel like the simulation's broken. Like something's changed. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then his wife launched one and it fucking tanked everything.
Oh, all they had to do was just do one, keep it up, and then like everybody would have eaten. And then now Melania and just everyone's just launching their own bullshit celebrity coins. And like every washed up fucking X personality.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, someone made a coin for me. Like, what
Like
an
a
accident.
hacked.
Yeah. Jog on, mate.
Yeah, it's
Now.
so funny. I love it.
Yeah. As someone who's been deep in the industry for so long and built something up from the beginning, ground up, like, do you have any like rules of thumb or just advice for anyone? Because I get a lot of DMs from people saying, how do I get a job? How do I make something? How do I launch my project? Like, are there like core things that people should be doing to either get jobs or break into the industry?
So breaking into the industry, it's so dependent on the role. So let me just focus on community. So a lot of people and a lot of big projects I know now are hiring directly from their community base. I think a really great example of this is Danny from Monad, who runs Pipeline now. I think he was a community member originally. So just be active in the space. If you just getting into it for the first time and you have a job, keep that job and then just contribute in a lot of different ways, you know, and you will get noticed because, you know, even when communities are hundreds of thousands of people in size, there's normally like 500 to 1,000 people that are really driving everything. So be noticed, start to build just a circle of friends within a strong community. And then start looking at like how you can educate yourself on just like how do like Discord servers work, for example, like at the very lowest level, how does the infrastructure work? Okay, what content does work? What tools are people learning? How can I learn that? How are marketers thinking? How are founders thinking? How are these things? And just start to build it and build relationships with the community managers, build relationships with the heads of marketing if they're present in the communities. Just go out and build your network as much as you can. And then find a small project to work at and apply at them and, you know, use other community members as references and show that you have, you know, you can communicate effectively on Twitter. You have a strong group of friends in crypto. You know, show that there's a circle around you because a lot of people just don't have any kind of like, they don't have any presence. A lot of people are just on an island by themselves. And it's so obvious when people are able to, you know, build their own audience. A great example of this is Zane on our team. Nillion's his first full-time crypto job, but he has such a strong personal brand. You know, he does like 10,000 tweets a month. He's just cranking shit out.
Yeah.
And I hired him because he was a strong member of our community. He has a strong presence. He deeply understands the space. And he's just been putting in that work without asking for a job. So much so that I went to him and was like, hey, I would like to hire you for this.
Yeah.
And he was like, great. Yeah, we can talk about this. But people like him who have done that effectively, he gets approached by lots of projects to work with them.
Yeah.
And I think taking that approach is much stronger than just like firing off 50 CVs.
100%. No one looks at CVs these days.
Exactly.
He's got time.
Exactly. You know, some of our job applications will get like 1,000 applicants.
Yeah.
Like just, it's so much less effective to do it that way than just build personal relationships. Like if I move on, which I'm not going to, but if I was to move on from Nillion, I wouldn't set up a CV. I would just go and reach out to people that I know are in the space and be like, hey, I'm looking for this or this kind of thing. Yeah. And that would be much more effective and probably much more lucrative than going through a traditional funnel. And that is the flip that crypto has, is that you can do a lot more by having friends and having a small presence. And I don't mean, you know, 10,000 plus followers. Like if you have like 1,000 followers, but you have high engagement for that amount,
and have a niche,
you will get, you know,
people
projects will look at you, especially in those circles.
Yeah,
so 100%. I definitely think that's the way to do it.
I think something that my dad told me was always like, be useful, offer value for free and connect people for free and not expect anything. Because a lot of the time, like I get DMs just like, and also like without a purpose. Just my DMs are just flooded.
Yeah,
so it's like, hey, just wanted to connect. I'm like, what do I look like? Do I look like I have time? Do I look like I've got there's just like something just to chat for no reason? I can barely chat to my wife, let alone like chat to some random person on the internet with no PFP, 2 followers, and like giveaway posts on their profile. Yeah. Like no offense to giveaways, but like the people that are effective are always the ones that do some cost signaling. And I think that when you're trying to get hired, for me, when I used to hire people, it was always people that did either created value for others. So they took like freely existing stuff, repackaged it in something that was interesting, not with AI, just like, or changed something visual. Or they did something in a niche that showed expertise. And they, like a lot of people are like, oh, how do I tweet for engagement? I need to get my engagement up. But like, you need to like say real shit to people care. Like, well, you got to have a subject, right? So I think, lessons for other people, I think would be like offer value, make a small crew, like a cook crew, just like doing anything, just like learning about shit or just posting about stuff. Reading and writing, essential, right? Like digital space. If you can't speak fluently and you can't read and can't write well, then no one's going to hire you. Because like, and especially if you're using AI badly, like if someone can use AI well, I'll just hire them just like that. Because that's going to be the next 10, 15 years. But you can't use AI well if you don't have something real to say. I think that's just the key. But yeah, I think at the same time, it's easier than ever to get hired for people who are doing interesting things, but harder than ever for everyone because the volume is so high.
It's very high. The quality is very low. So people that are just moderately better than other people will get noticed a lot easier. Yeah. Because there's so much shit that people produce, where it's clear ChatGPT with a fucking hashtag at the end of the tweet. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah. Or like someone's commenting on a tweet and it like I use AI so much that I can tell which model you've used from the output if it's not good.
It's so funny.
Which is also like, I feel like I'm getting brain damage from it. Like, it's not good. But I use it more for information aggregation or like changing unstructured data into a few filtered points, but it never for like content creation because it always sounds bad. Yeah. It's like having I see it like a filter, like a sieve. If you put something through a sieve, you get the pattern of the sieve in the output. Yeah. If you use the sieve and then you make your own thing, then it's very different. What I was going to ask was, what is the ideal DM to someone to send you and like, and their like social profile to get hired? How should they do that? Yeah, cue like everyone just DMs you now.
Yeah, I got a lot. The head of community hire originally, he came through as a cold DM to me. So probably him is a good example. I had been listed by Will from Scribe3 as like one of the community leaders to follow. And it was like a list of like 4 people. Yeah. There was like someone from Say, someone from Polygon, Chopper from Pyth, and then myself, and then Bill Mondays from Monad. So Nate, the guy that I hired, he DM'd me, he sent me the post as context and was like, hey, I saw this. I work here. I do this. Could I have 15 minutes of your time to chat about what Nillion is doing and see how I can get involved? And then he sent me a link to a Calendly that was called like Yap Sesh, and it was 15 minutes long. And he was like, no issue if you don't have the time, but so he context set it. He said who he was, where he worked, what his relevant experience was, why he was reaching out, and also gave me the option to book. I didn't have to respond to anything.
That's it.
So I think it was like I was laying in bed and I saw it as like a message request, and I was like, okay, and I was just and I just booked it in, and I was like, I have a free 15 minutes tomorrow, and I booked it in, and then we chatted. He asked for my Telegram, and then he would just send me things he was doing. And
interesting.
Like,
so he built a relationship.
He built a relationship.
What did he say in the 15 minutes?
He gave a breakdown of who he was, how he got into the space, what he was doing at his previous protocol, which was Zest, which is in the Bitcoin space, how he'd been following Nillion for a while, and some of the campaigns. He broke down some of the campaigns I'd done. So he clearly seen what we'd been doing and said why he liked them. And then he asked like if he could keep in contact to discuss things I was doing and he was doing. And I was like, yeah, of course. And then he would just, to start off with, because I wake up with like 500 messages a day. He would, sometimes I'd miss it 1 or 2 days and he'd just send me something else.
So consistency as
and he'd just keep going and eventually just built that.
But it wasn't spam though, was it?
No.
Like interesting shit.
It was good stuff. Yeah, he'd send me good stuff, or it'd be like another community leader would write an article about community and he'd send me it.
Interesting.
And, I'd miss a lot of the things because there's just so much going on. So he'd be like, it'd be really useful because he'd be like interesting shit I actually wanted to read about. And he'd just send it to me. Yeah. And we built that relationship and we did a couple more calls and we'd chat. And, when we were in Bangkok, he'd like send me things that were cool and all these different things. It just became it became like a friendship before there was the ask. And then it came to the point to where I was looking for a community guy to run the community. And I'd interviewed people. We'd had a lot of applications come through. And I went to him and was like, I think you should apply for this.
Because you know him, you trust him.
I'd seen his work.
And that's it.
I knew he was well connected. I knew his work ethic in the space. I knew his engagements. And I was like, you should apply for this. Yeah. And then we hired him through that.
Yeah. I think the best, because there's a lot of like talk right now about how to like write good content and that kind of stuff. I think that's a lie, because realistically, if you haven't got any experience, if you haven't got credentials, I don't care about your opinion. 9 times out of 10 on the timeline, right? A, I'm not going to see it. And B, a long post about what you think about X, Y, Z, like who cares? Like I wouldn't listen to a random guy on the street tell me about being a doctor, right? Like I'd only listen to someone with credentials, or if they speak in a position or a place that's appropriate, whether it's a conference or something. So I guess the analog is, it's better to curate good stuff than it is for you to write your own stuff at first, because invariably writing your own stuff is going to be bullshit. Like, because you see this chat GPT, like, I mean, it's actually used Claude, because people normally use Claude and you can tell the pattern is like, community is not just about this, it's about that. And it's like
a haiku.
Just like, shut up. No one wants your fucking poetry. Just like, oh, great. Like the most useful stuff I see from people with like literally like 50 followers is they see like, I've looked at this campaign. This is interesting. This is my learning. And then I look at them and I'm like, that's really useful. I didn't know that.
You're seeing a lot more down the marketing front now. There's a girl, her name's Polina.
Yes.
She broke down a piece of Luma copy that I wrote. And she was like, I was scrolling through Luma and this one jumped out. And she points out specific language and then sent it to me. And I was like, I didn't even realize I didn't even know what was going on. And she's really good because she takes other people's campaigns and she breaks them down. And it's really fucking interesting. And she should have a lot more followers than she has. But I now follow her to see like her breakdown, like the abstract campaign, because I don't have as much time to like go through and do everything. But if she's got like a 20-piece thread, I'll read that in bed at night and be like, that was super interesting, and then like reshare.
I mean, that says more about me and you than like. But I agree with you, because it's useful. Like that's the biggest thing.
So useful.
You're saving people time. It's useful and it shows your interest and your expertise. Because if someone can break something down and say why it's good, then I'll trust them more than like someone just telling me like, it's important to be engaged on social media. Like, shut up. Like, that's pointless. No one needs that.
That's very true. I don't talk about marketing really in my own socials. I was actually very comfortable behind the camera. I am very comfortable behind the camera and leading the marketing side internally. I am now doing obviously more external things. 4 cameras looking at me.
Mate, you got the Scouse gift of the gab. Like that's a known Scouse trait. My wife, she's a half Scouse, and like her entire Scouse part of the family, they're like words per second are higher than the average human. 100%.
It really is. Especially if you've had a bev as well.
Does your Scouse accent come out more?
A lot more when I've had a drink.
That's funny.
But I don't talk a lot. I think I don't talk at conferences. I don't do anything like that. So my only social CV is me engaging with the Nillion community. That's all it is. I only talk about what I'm doing or what Nillion is doing or those kind of things. And that, I guess, that has become my CV, but I'm not like a marketing advice guy, because I know like a lot of the stuff that people see that works, they don't see all the other shit that doesn't.
Yeah, but you're too busy grafting, mate.
We like a lot of hours.
I think that when you're out there grafting and putting in a shift, like a big thing that marketers struggle with is like, there's not enough time to do the day job, let alone like get distribution out there. And like, I mean, one of the main reasons we connected was because for Nuffle, I was looking at the Nillion campaign being like, this is sick. What can I learn from it? Made the Figma. I was like, holy shit, this is content. Like,
distribution's everything. That's all I've indexed on. I have a very clear distribution funnel for different types of campaigns. I ran on the last piece we did, I ran through the kind of announcement funnel, but I have like 3 or 4 different funnels for different ways we launch things, like community funnel, video piece funnel, events funnel. Like our events funnel is like 3 times more complex than what we went through last time. And again, that's just trial and error. And there's definitely an air of like, do I want to keep the cards close to the chest because I know it works? Or do I want to be a person that people can look at and go, oh, I can learn kind of how these things work? Because I think, I don't know what it was. It was the fundraising announcement funnel that we went through last time of like how I do each step. And I think that was useful for people. I don't know if people have applied it. But definitely going to be doing more stuff like that.
I think my view is that, especially with the AI stuff, is that that's my like speciality. That's what I think how I add value. Like the first time I really got any kind of like wider recognition was taking Ekram's work, who's a genius in the positioning space, taking his work, an interview that was hard to reach, hard to watch, and like end to end. It's like it was a stream. It wasn't on YouTube. Took that, transcribed it, took the screenshots, put it into an AI, like a GPT that did a very simple thing, which was you put in your documents, out comes your output based on the framework. So easy. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it on their own with ChatGPT, but just like turning that into a thing and open sourcing it, I think it's the net positive is way bigger than like, because realistically, everything's out of date in like 6 months anyway. So
yeah, if that. That's a long time horizon.
Exactly. Everything's out of date in like a week if you look at coins,
things move
right?
quick.
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing I wanted to talk about as well that we didn't touch last time was the mindset and mentality and the distribution of the Nillion Bangkok TukTuk campaign. We talked about it briefly over lunch, but like I think it's just a great story about how you thought like we're not going to compete with all the other bullshit that everyone else is doing. We're going to do something different.
Yeah, well, like there's a big part of events, people, projects, and there's a negative sentiment around events.
There's a lot of like mid takes about like, why is everyone spending so much? It's like, have you ever like made a relationship at an event?
Yeah.
Then you'll know why people spend so much.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to do the standard side event thing. I am terrified of side events.
Why is that?
Because if no one goes, you look really bad.
Yeah.
Not just as a marketer, but also as a project.
Yeah.
So it's really bad. Like if you throw a party and it's just a DJ and one person in like a smoky room, that looks so poor. So I didn't want to do that at all, but I knew there was definitely some underpriced attention at events. And when I sat down with my events team and we sat down, they gave me like a Miro board of like 200 ideas. It was fantastic. And one of the ideas had the TukTuk in it as a part of the campaign. And we basically took that and exploded it out. Because we wanted the tagline to essentially be infrastructure with real users. So it's kind of like a coy, tongue-in-cheek thing.
Well, it's aligned with you, right? It's not just totally random.
Exactly. It aligns with the brand, but it also does poke fun at like crypto infra. Like there's a lot of infra, but there's not a lot of real users, So we wanted to do that, and we wanted to make it as much value add as possible for the people actually attending. Because as someone that's attended conferences for years, the most expensive part is travel and food. And I was like, food's just too complex. We can solve the travel problem. So we found a company and we rented 100 tuk-tuks. It was really difficult to do because they'd send us a contract in Thai. We'd be like, I don't speak Thai. We need to get this translated. We need to figure this out. We need to figure out all the insurance and all that kind of stuff. Once we figured it out and we wrapped these cars, we were like, this is really fucking cool. So then we were like, we're going to make this free for everybody to use. Everybody that's attending the conference, they are free to use. We're going to build a web application, like an Uber app, so people can see, where they are on the map and where the events are near them and scale that out.
That's useful.
Yeah, super useful. And then we're also going to go to other projects and sell advertising. So we would go to, a big L1 and be like, you're throwing a side event. I know you're scared people aren't going to go as well because all marketers are scared. And, if you pay us, we had 2 different tiers, 2K or 5K. If you pay us 5K, we will ensure that people go to your event because we control the flow of people around Bangkok. And people are not just going to be in our tuk-tuks, they're going to be taking photos from them. They're going to be doing recordings from them. So you're going to get content as well as people attending. That's the culture we're building with this. So we sold a shitload of advertising spots. And then we also took them to other events, and we're like, we don't want you to pay us, but we want you to give us a speaking slot and we will give you the cars. So we had 100 cars. Leverage them, yeah. So we got 25 speaking slots for free. I think I paid for 1 speaking slot and it was just so we could be on stage with a competitor. And I just wanted us to be there. I sent up our co-founder to be like, go and fucking win this conversation.
Yeah. Fuck them up.
Yeah, exactly. Got to be competitive still.
Yeah.
But we ended up, we had 70 cars doing the kind of circuit of side events and these kind of things. And then we had 30 cars that would just drive around the main conference area. And it was purely so that you'd always see our fucking cars.
Mhm.
You'd always see Nillion or Blue or these kind of things.
Sick.
And so much so that we had car parking spots with hotels around the main conference area. So if people left, they could instantly get in one of our cars and go.
Yeah.
We'd have members of staff stand around the conference area and wear t-shirts and hand them out and do that. And the idea was painting Bangkok blue.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We did that really
Paint
effectively.
the town blue, yeah.
And then we did a whole social content from there as well, where we did 5 days where we had the cars. We did a vlog a day. So that means I'd get up at 7 a.m. I'd record until 10 p.m. My editor in California would be online then. It'd be about midday for her. I'd send her 5 hours of footage. Me and her from 10 p.m. Bangkok till 2 a.m. Bangkok would go through the footage, find the story for that day. I'd go to sleep. She'd edit from my 2 a.m. to my 7 a.m. I'd wake up, do a review, and we'd post it.
Bro, you can't be telling this, man. Like, everyone's going to expect me to work this hard now. Like, what the fuck, dude? We're going to edit this shit out. Oh, my God.
And we did that for 5 days.
That's mad.
And then we did all the content.
It sounds like you've deeply understood that crypto companies are not just technology companies, they're media companies.
Yeah.
Like, majority is media. Anything
Yeah.
pre-product is media, right?
Post-product?
Post-product as well.
There's narrative market fit and there's product market fit.
Yeah.
Narrative is arguably more important.
Definitely. Because it's like, crypto is like a space built up of multiple rivers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a slow moving river, then you're not going to go. You got to like paddle. You got to spend all your resources, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also like the challenge of people jump from river to river, and then it's very obvious because that's where the conviction part comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we knew that we had to split it between offline and online. So we had all these talks. We had the cars. We we were co-sponsoring like 5 or 6 side events. We were everywhere. That was the whole goal. We gave out like 5,000 pieces of merch in the week. Just gave it out, did everything. It was fantastic. But the online aspect was arguably more important because we did the vlogs, but we also did a social campaign called Proof of TukTuk, in which if you took a selfie from within the car, the top selfies of that day on that hashtag would win $200. And we just send them $200. Be like, get food for the week. Because in Thailand, you could get food for the week.
Yeah, it's fun.
So not just was Bangkok blue, the timeline was also blue because Nillion was producing so much fucking content.
Probably the single biggest mindshare booster as well, because everyone in the industry was posting it then as well, because they're having fun as well.
Exactly. So we did thousands of proof of tuk-tuks over the week. And, we gave, for thousands of posts, it costs us $1,000,
Yeah.
$200 a day for 5 days.
I mean, if you're talking in like marketing terms, right? CPC, insane.
Yeah, it was great.
Insane. And then what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm getting like, for Nuffle, we're getting through like lots of offers of, stages, panels, side events, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You spend 12 grand on a stage package or whatever. You spend 12 grand on like a decent developer and like a nice little game and a couple of QR codes. Way more return. But I think everything is like a time delta between like what you can do in the short space of time and how big your team is, right? Because like this sounds like a lot of coordination, a lot of work, but also a lot of like probably a big team doing it relatively. Yeah. Or no, was it like a relatively small team?
So it was internally, it was just me. I have an agency that I work with, Banana Seas, and they were very prevalent within the vlogs as well as characters. There was a team of 5 of them that were in Bangkok with me that were running it. We had 1 videographer, 2 people running ops, 1 person running creative, myself. And then as well as that, you obviously have all the staff at the TukTuk company. So we had 100 drivers that we had to manage. We had their operations team, which was like 4 or 5 people. All in all, including Nillion, the whole Nillion team in Bangkok, the whole team on the agency side and the whole team on the TukTuk car side, I was maybe managing 150 staff that week just to make sure that everything was running smoothly and effectively. So it's a huge fucking operation, to then also do vlogs inside of it is insane. It makes no sense, but it was so non-scalable that the community loved it.
Yeah.
Because
shows effort.
Every time we saw something for the first time, they saw it with us. It's like the first time we saw the tuk-tuks in the car park, they saw that as well. They saw the team working on stuff. They saw that I was working 15-hour days. I wasn't like partying at night or going for long dinners or doing this kind of shit. Like I would eat in my hotel room whilst I'm going through edits, and then I would go out to capture more footage, or I'd go out to where the agency team was staying, or I'd go out and do something, and then I'd come back and it'd be 2 a.m. and we'd be discussing through the day, and then it would start again at 7 a.m. and then it's the end at 2 a.m.
Because it's the opposite of like the conference holiday complex, right? It's like proper graft, and it's getting shit done, and people see it as well.
People saw it massively, and those videos are probably some of my proudest content that we've ever produced in the last 3 years.
But it's the YouTube playbook as well, right? It's like reactions, it's real, it's behind the scenes. Like there's a lot of in crypto in general, it's a very immature media ecosystem. It's not optimized. We're only just getting like lifestyle influencers. We're only just getting like company corporate comms that is not just here's the tech, here's a talk, here's a podcast where we're talking about anything interesting apart from like just this is why my TPS is better than your TPS. Like who cares? Like the people don't want to see that as much. Maybe a little bit, but like I think that this is the new generation, new media. I think crypto is going to change the next 6 months, let alone 5 years, because we saw like there was a before Trump and an after Trump in crypto, right?
Yeah, big time.
And it's gonna be interesting to see where it goes.
Big
dude,
time.
we're coming up to like hour and a bit, man. I think to finish, I think what I'd like to do is 3 questions.
Okay.
Apart from Nillion, what is the project you're most excited about in the next 6 months to a year, or even one that's already launched?
Can I do a project in our ecosystem or no?
Do that one and then another one that's totally unrelated.
The one that's not in our ecosystem, who am I most excited for? I'm most excited for Abstract.
Yeah, where's that?
Luca is such a polarizing person.
Yeah.
He's so important to the space. He has a lot of goodwill. He's not done anything to massively negatively affect his reputation.
Yeah.
He's so careful with his reputation.
He's like the anti-Frank.
Yeah.
He's the opposite of Frank, right?
Yeah.
Like I like Frank. I think he's
and they're friends.
He was a pioneer, but like their public image and their public paths have been totally different, right?
Yeah, and they're friends. They're friends, and that's great. Luca's gone down the builder path.
Yeah.
Frank's gone down much more the retail path, which is great. Again, just different paths. I have such conviction in Luca, and I know some of the team he's built around him. And I love that, and I think they're going to succeed the most. So they're definitely probably my highest conviction project.
Nice.
Outside of what I'm doing.
Cool.
Of course.
Second question.
Yeah.
Biggest guilty pleasure coin you've bought? The one that you're embarrassed to tell anyone about?
Whiff. So I bought it when it was too high.
Yeah. Mine's probably, I had this thesis for, I guess this counts as shilling my bags, but I still have them. I had this thesis of like, AI coins are going up. Everyone's like, infra. The next thing was like, oh, it's going to be Swarm. It's going to be this. And I knew that the bubble was going to like pop when the Gartner hype curve of expectations was reality. Like the real, as soon as it was like DeFi AI, I was like, no one's going to be making money off this shit. Because like proper machine learning algorithms need to be doing for you to properly make money. But I was like, horny AI.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good bet, to be fair.
That's going to go somewhere. And I bought a shitload of those coins. And like, my wife was like, when I was on the websites, like researching them, she was like, what the fuck are you doing? So that's probably my biggest guilty pleasure one. But
That's
I mean,
so funny.
they might still go up. Who knows?
It might do. You never know.
Maybe the next cycle, I just need to get Shaw, like to, become a girlfriend of some kind of waifu or some shit. I don't know. Fine. Okay. Third question is probably like the most controversial one. What has annoyed you most in the space, or like a team, a project, or anything? Just anything. Because like every interview is always so positive, right? I want a little bit of spice.
Like overall or like recent thing?
Anything general, anything.
Okay.
What's pissed you off?
So besides the stuff that Nillion went through early in the day, where we had people shit talking us.
Yeah. Which is Underdog story, kind of satisfying to be like, fuck you. We did
exactly.
it.
We're the Underdog story, and we're always going to have that Underdog mentality.
Yeah.
It's just who we are. It's who our team are. But what has been recent is I don't think Jesse from base should have got as much shit as he did for that on-chain video.
Yeah.
Because I think between what is a bad idea and what is a good idea, there's a lot of cringy shit that happens.
Yeah.
And I think traders that are dogging him right now shouldn't be calling him cringe when they've been trading Pump Fun, where like kids are like shaving their fucking heads to get 50K.
Yeah.
Like that's cringe as shit as well. It's
Yeah.
just a different kind of cringe.
Yeah.
And I think they're the only company at their size that is willing to do that kind of brand risk content. And I think we should be championing it, not telling him to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like he just needed someone to be like, change the language a little bit. And that would have been a really good idea. That would have been a really good video. Like the way he did it was not the best, but I think he should continue to do it until he hits something that works. And I think that kind of non-scalable content is so fucking important.
Yeah.
And people that have been dogging him for it are just rage baiting him. And you can see so much of CT like getting rage baited by the Solana guys that hate them.
Yeah.
But I hope he keeps doing it.
But I like I mean, I'm always a fan of anyone in the arena.
Yeah.
Anyone doing new shit or different shit, even if you fuck up, like it's fine.
Yeah.
At least you're trying different things. It's not the same playbook over and over again.
Agree.
But my tinfoil hat is that he's smart enough to know that that was probably not going to work. Like my tinfoil hat is the best way to get engagement on Reddit is to say something incorrect and then someone corrects you immediately.
Yeah.
Right? No one's going to thank you for giving good advice. So like if you need the answer to a question, like I would often do this. I would like comment the wrong answer to something in the topic that I needed to know about. And then someone immediately is like, oh, this is the Stack Overflow link, you fucking idiot. Like this is how you fix that coding problem. But I think that his thing with Mert, this like love-hate relationship where they kind of duel on the timeline, some of it can feel like it's a little bitter, but other thing is like they are the main characters 90% of the time.
Yeah, they're winning.
And if he'd done like a good onboarding video, no, I don't think anyone would care.
No, they wouldn't.
They want to like, people want it. It's like a sports team, I think.
Yeah.
We've got sports teams. We've got star quarterbacks for the Americans, star strikers for the UK. And then like, we've got these armchair commentators that just
Lots
love
of them.
Like, I mean, like being a Scouse, you know, like everyone who's like, when I was fucking in school, I would have scored that goal. It's oh yeah, I could have been in the Premier League. It's like, and then you got these people on CT just like commenting on these guys, and it's
so much armchair commentary.
Yeah, like they're in the arena. At least like why
they're trying shit.
Yeah, why are you giving your opinion? I mean, that's like the foundation of social media, though, right? It's like everyone
can say what they want, but I agree. He probably wouldn't have got as much engagement. It's kind of like what happened with Polymarket with I can't remember his name.
Hugo Martingale.
Hugo.
Genius.
So good.
He pioneered the intern shit, and like I think that was the top.
Kev from Monad was the original intern because he was the CMS.
But I thought that his intern was like the first generation intern. Is like
Hugo's the second.
We're a little silly. We're having fun.
Yeah. Hugo's the retardio. Intern. Yeah.
I loved his Susan thing. That was
so fucking smart.
Genius.
So smart. And it was great that Phantom got involved as well.
Yeah.
It was the smartest thing.
Pushing the boundaries.
And, you know, Polymarket really did have a breakout moment because of that.
They did. Yeah.
So we've got to applaud that 100%.
Everyone loved it. It was, I think everyone to some extent in crypto is a little bit of an outcast.
Yeah.
I think no one is here because this was like the number one choice for like, because no one grows up thinking I want to be in crypto until maybe this generation, right? Like our generation, I think everyone got
around.
Everyone got into it, and it was not the smart choice at the time.
No,
right? Like my parents still think I'm a doctor. I'm pretty sure, but like you do it because you love it, and you do it because you want to be part of something different, and it's fun, and it's like a massively multiplayer online video game.
Yeah, exactly.
That everyone's doing the same shit with like cartoon pictures and shit. Like it's amazing. But like every time I see something that like breaks down some old model or gives like a fuck you to like something that I recognized that character like previously in my life of someone like putting me down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always that fucking bureaucratic admin person that fucks you over with just like polite words and like an iron fist and a velvet glove. Do you know what I mean? So like when I saw Hugo do that, it was like, I think it resonated with everyone.
He did it. Yeah, it was amazing. It was and it was multi-day as well. He held attention for like a full week. And then Kev wrote that like intern letter.
Yes.
fantastic, absolutely incredible. Everyone played it perfectly.
Yeah,
That was such a good moment.
definitely.
Such a good moment. But Jesse does it really well as well.
He does.
He's way too smart to not know what he's doing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's like catching the heat, and like the fact he shaved his head is so funny.
It's so fucking funny.
So funny.
So funny.
I mean, we haven't talked about Mert, man, like briefly. Like, do you think what he does is possible anywhere else, or do you think he's a unicorn?
What do you mean? Like, can someone emulate him?
Yeah. Can you emulate Mert?
Yeah, for sure. We've seen them in the past, mainly from the VC side. Sun Tzu was a good one. Like, there's a bunch of people that have come in and been this kind of like on this like war path kind of pace. I think we're going to see a lot more of him.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more of him. He has such strong stances and he's really willing to stand on them. I think a good person that did it last cycle was Kobe's NFTs or tokens.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yeah,
he got into so much shit with everyone.
Yeah.
And he was so strong on his stance that it just grew him more. Because obviously either people follow him to hate him or follow him because they agree with him. I think that's the same.
Yeah.
He just holds so much attention and it does so much for what his project is. But because there is such a clear divide between Solana and Ethereum, he knows exactly who to attack all the time.
Yeah.
And he is probably behind the scenes very friendly with them.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
Even, I think that for good engagement on X, I think you need, it's a very simple recipe, I think, is that strong opinion, respond or quote to someone else or quote their work or respond to their idea directly, and then have some kind of tongue-in-cheek invitation. Yeah. Because a lot of people do like only one. It's like, here's my strong opinion. And it doesn't do anything. No. And then other people like quote other people and then maybe say something funny, but like, where's the opinion? You're just like saying this is great. But anyway, it's interesting. Why do you love crypto? If you love it.
Because it's the cutting edge of marketing. And there's no other way to describe it. It is the most cutting edge part of marketing. There's more freedom than any other industry. There's new things evolving constantly. We're not on a 24-hour news cycle. We're on a 12-hour news cycle. You have to constantly be innovating. You cannot just sit still within like a 360 campaign for a year, like a lot of other companies can do. You have to constantly be thinking about how you can take what you've already done that was innovative, throw it away and build something new. And then keep doing that process. And it's such a creative challenge and it requires such a creative mind that everybody that you're working with, if you're like a senior level marketer, the people you're working with are so brilliant all the time that it's so much fun. Like a lot of the senior marketers are L1s and L2s, like I'm friends with, and like we're not competing with each other or any of this, but it's just so interesting to see what they're building. They like to see what I'm building. Like I gave them insights into a project called Bloopers that we're working on right now, which is going to be really fucking cool. They all love it. Everyone's super excited. And it's because it's new and it's cutting edge and it's on the fringe that you never get bored. It's incredibly stressful because you're never not doing something.
There's not enough time in the day, is there?
Exactly. But that pressure pushes you so forward so quickly that I love it. Yeah, I would never do anything else.
Definitely. I agree. I think I love what you're doing with Bloopers, by the protected tweet starting thing was really nice.
Yeah, that's growing too quickly. There's like 5,000 in the waiting list now for that.
I think we're moving through like the evolution of TV, I think. Before it was informational, then you kind of got like reality TV. So we're following these celebrities in the timeline. And then what you're doing with the vlogs is kind of like sports, what's happening on Netflix, like Drive to Survive and stuff. Like people want to engage with their sports team and stuff like that. But yeah, I can only echo what you said, man. But listen, dude, it's been
no, thank you for having me.
Cheers, man.
Thank you for being on the having me on the first episode.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, dude.